So let's understand the subject that we're studying in a minute. So let's go on. Sexuality is our primal need to connect. Before and beyond anything else, it is our need, our genetic need to pass on our genes and ensure the continuation of life. And in order to complete that sacred task, most of us require a partner. Not all of us in nature, but most of us do. And how we engage that partner and engage in the sexual act will play out in accordance to our genes, our personal backgrounds, our circumstances, our mental, physical, and emotional character. And if we're astrologers, we could say, as depicted in our natal houses, the placement of celestial bodies in signs and angles in our charts. Okay. So when we examine the subject of sexuality as I see it in the chart, as I do it with my clients and in my life, I take it and break it up into 4 different circles. The first is the prominence of and signs in the natal chart. And I'll be going into that in this lecture. The second is the mode and the elements, and understanding them makes you understand a lot about the nature of the sexuality of the person. We'll be going in a bit into that as well. And then there are sexual asteroids and stars, which often shed a lot of light and encapsulate that person's chart in a single star. And it's amazing, and we'll go through some examples if we have the time tonight. And then there are sexual Arabic parts. All of these can shed light on a person's sexuality. But first and foremost, we are going for the prominence of sexual plants and signs. So let's go on. So what should we look for? We're looking for sexual hotspots in the natal chart. Now, where might those be? In which signs? In which houses? So I want us to say, for the sake of this lecture, and of course, everything I'm saying here today is subject to your own examination. This is, or these are, sexual hotspots as I see them in the natal chart. And power buildup in these areas of the chart will make us more physically sexual. While power inhibitors such as Saturn, Chiron, or Neptune in those areas may, and I say may because that depends on other things in the chart, may constrict our sexuality or our physical part of our sexuality, the physical manifestation of our sexuality for some years. Now, if we take opposite directions, we could say there are cold spots in the natal chart. Of course, there's no real cold spots here. It's just places that are more airy, that have more of a cerebral or public nature. And sexual power buildups. I'm talking about sexual planets and sexual signs in these areas. Will tilt the sexual emphasis many times from the physical plane to the mental, the verbal, or even the public realms. These would be persons that if there are sexual buildups in these areas of their chart, sex would be first and foremost here in the brain, and then also in the outside world, in their communication with the outside world, in the ideas that they project outside to the world, in how they socialize, and so on and so forth. So, if going back to this chart, okay, I'm going to read it out to you so you'll have better understanding of what this is. So, what are the symbols of sexuality and relationship? Of course, we're going for Pluto, or the 8th house, or Scorpio, as one symbol. The other being Mars, the first house or Aries, and of course Venus, the second and seventh houses, and Taurus and Libra. Placement of these stars, their prominence in the chart, both in signs and angles, their honors, if we're going to speak about traditional astrology, and relation in regards to the synastry of the chart are very important. You could check the power buildup of the 2-8 axis or the Taurus Scorpio placement in the chart, as well as the placement of sexual symbols or by sign or planet in the first, fifth, and sixth houses or the Leo Virgo area. Now, many times I'm being asked, how come Virgo? What does Virgo have to do with love, sexuality, relationship? Well, Virgo has a lot to do both with our daily life, our work, and the connection that we have between our minds and our bodies. Virgo is in charge of the relationship between our mind and our body. That very connection between the physical and the mental. If we have sexual buildup in that house, in the sixth house, or any connection with Virgo, you will see throughout this presentation how influential that might be in making us continue and refine and change and mutate our sexuality, and sometimes even our gender. And of course, we have to check the effect of sexual influences on the sign of signs, houses, or planets by placement or angle to the sun or the moon.